As the evening shadows danced over Willow Creek's main street, I watched 8-year-old Lily Parker clutching her small bag of groceries, her loyal German shepherd, Max, by her side. The tranquility of their walk was abruptly interrupted by the thunderous roar of motorcycles piercing the calm air. In an instant, 5 bikers appeared, their engines growling like wild beasts. I could see the fear flickering in Lily's eyes as the lead rider, a man with a jagged scar, approached with a menacing grin. But what he didn't realize was that this little girl, with her loving companion, was about to show an incredible strength that would resonate throughout Willow Creek. Little did the bikers know that when Max lowered his head and stepped forward, teeth bared, he was not just a pet protecting his owner. He was a guardian trained for moments like this. As one biker reached out toward Lily, Max's fierce gaze locked onto the threat, a display of courage that could only come from years of professional canine training. That day, the bond between Lily and Max would unveil a tale of bravery and resilience that would change Willow Creek forever. I invite you to like and share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know where you are watching from. Together, let's continue this inspiring story. Lily Parker wasn't just any child in Willow Creek. She was a shining light with her unique perspective on life. Born with mild autism spectrum disorder, she experienced the world in a beautifully distinct way, often overwhelmed by noises and sensations, yet possessing an extraordinary ability to connect deeply with those she trusted. Her honey blonde hair, often styled in 2 charmingly uneven braids that she insisted on doing herself, framed her thoughtful blue eyes, which sparkled with curiosity and intensity. Though she spoke less than her peers, every word she uttered was filled with profound meaning. Her greatest ally, Max, was not just a dog but a steadfast companion who embodied loyalty and love. Their journey together began far from home, in specialized canine training facilities, where Max had proven himself as an exceptional police dog, destined to protect and serve. Together they would face challenges that would illuminate the strength of their bond and the power of love. Max, a courageous dog with a powerful 85-pound frame and striking black and tan markings, had formed an unbreakable bond with Officer Daniel Reeves, one of the most celebrated handlers on the force. Together, they were a legendary team, excelling in narcotics detection and suspect apprehension. But everything changed 3 years ago during a dangerous warehouse raid. When armed suspects opened fire, Officer Reeves heroically pushed Max to safety, sacrificing himself to save his partner. Max stood guard over his fallen handler, sustaining a severe shoulder wound in the process. Although his physical injuries healed, the emotional scars ran deep, leaving him unable to continue his service. Facing an unjust fate of euthanasia, Max found an unexpected ally in a gentle little girl who sensed his pain and understood his heart. In this moment, a spark of hope ignited for both Max and the little girl, showing that love has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. Willow Creek, a picturesque town nestled between rolling hills and graced by a gentle creek, once thrived as an ideal American community where doors were left unlocked and children played freely until the streetlights flickered on. However, in recent years, economic challenges crept in, with the lumber mill and manufacturing plant downsizing, leaving many families struggling. The opioid crisis, which has affected so many rural areas across America, hit Willow Creek hard, leading to an increase in crime and the emergence of the Black Reapers, a motorcycle gang that threatened the tranquility of this once safe haven. Despite the best efforts of the undermanned police department, the community's sense of security began to waver. Yet Officer James Parker, with his salt and pepper hair, remained committed to making a difference. As he sat behind his desk, surrounded by case files representing young lives at a crossroads, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. His community outreach program, aimed at guiding vulnerable teenagers away from the influence of the Black Reapers, was starting to show positive results. With each small victory, hope was rekindled in Willow Creek, reminding everyone that even in the face of adversity, unity and resilience can restore peace and safety. Each day, James faced the daunting challenge of saving lives from the grip of addiction. He began this mission after witnessing too many bright futures dimmed by drugs, a temporary escape from the weight of poverty and despair. Just this morning, he met Michael Reynolds, a brave Army veteran who returned from Afghanistan decorated but deeply scarred. Struggling with severe PTSD, and the burden of dependency on pain medication, Michael had found himself living in his truck, feeling abandoned by the very country he served. Yet, with compassion and understanding, James reached out to him, guiding him to a diversion program instead of punishment. "You served your country," James reminded him. "Now it's time for your country to serve you." This heartfelt philosophy of seeing beyond the surface of mistakes sometimes set him apart from colleagues who favored stricter measures. As he received a text from his wife, Sarah, reminding him of their daughter Lily's important appointment, a warm smile spread across his face. He thought of her indomitable spirit, a beacon of hope amidst their challenges. But the smile quickly faded as he recalled a recent disagreement with Sarah about welcoming Max, their troubled canine companion. Concerned for their special needs child, she hesitated, fearing the impact of an animal with a painful past. "He's been through so much trauma," she had expressed. "We can't risk it with Lily." Yet James saw a glimmer of understanding in Max's eyes when Lily first approached him, sensing a bond between two wounded souls. The day they met was forever etched in his memory. The canine facility had planned to euthanize the shepherd after he failed multiple rehabilitation attempts. James had unexpectedly brought Lily along, never intending for her to interact with Max. While discussing paperwork, Lily wandered down the aisle of kennels, stopping in front of Max's enclosure. The bun had growled at experienced handlers but sat quietly, his intelligent eyes locked onto Lily, who showed no fear. "He's sad because his friend died," she said with unusual clarity, pointing at Max. "He thinks it was his fault." The staff exchanged surprised glances. No one had mentioned Officer Reeves to Lily. When James asked how she knew, she simply shrugged and said, "I can see it in his eyes. He needs us." In that moment, a profound connection lit the way forward for both Max and Lily, echoing Helen Keller's wisdom that the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. What followed was nothing short of a miracle. Max, once deemed too unpredictable for service or adoption, began to transform in the presence of a sweet girl named Lily. With the support of the Parker family, Max's rehabilitation took off. The training officers were astonished. The same dog that had once shown aggression towards professionals displayed incredible gentleness with Lily. Just 3 months later, after intensive retraining, Max officially retired from police service and joined the Parker household. The bond that blossomed between the shepherd and the little girl was extraordinary. Lily had her doubts until the night of her worst sensory meltdown. Overwhelmed, she barricaded herself in her closet, feeling unreachable. But Max understood her distress, lying patiently outside the door. When Lily finally emerged, her fingers found comfort in his fur as she regulated her breathing alongside him. From that night forward, Sarah embraced the bond between Max and Lily, realizing how profound their connection had become. Nearly 2 years later, Max had transformed into Lily's steadfast companion, always by her side. He joined her at school as part of her IEP accommodations, patiently waiting during therapy sessions with unwavering support. Once seen as a potential danger, Max had blossomed into Lily's anchor, providing comfort in overwhelming moments and acting as a protective barrier against the chaos of a world that often felt too loud and bright. This morning, however, a challenge arose. They had run out of Lily's favorite cereal, a staple in her morning routine. For Lily, these routines were vital, and a simple change could lead to a challenging day ahead. The corner store was just a short walk away in their ordinarily quiet neighborhood. With Max by her side, James confidently agreed to let Lily venture out on her own. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked, a hint of concern in her voice. "She's only 8. James reassured her, saying, "She needs to learn independence. We can't shield her from everything forever. The store is practically in sight from our porch, and Max will protect her every step." After some discussion, they reached a compromise, trusting in their daughter's growth. James gifted Lily a safety whistle, a thoughtful gesture reflecting his love and concern as her father. He had watched with pride as she and Max, their loyal German shepherd, set off down Maple Street, her laughter ringing in the air. The morning sun danced in her golden hair, and for a moment all felt right in the world. Yet as he returned to his work, a wave of worry washed over him. It was unlike him to feel this way, but a father's intuition is strong. Checking the time, he felt a tug of urgency. She should have been home by now. Casting aside doubt, he decided to take a quick drive down her route, hoping to catch a glimpse of her joyful return. Just as he was about to leave, his phone rang, and his heart skipped a beat. It was Sarah. Her voice trembled with concern. "James, Lily isn't home yet." In that moment, the weight of a father's love and fear collided. Meanwhile, across town, Ryan Morris leaned against his motorcycle, surveying the men around him. Once a respected officer, he had turned down a darker path, but even he felt the tightening grip of fate. As he planned a shipment under the cover of night, he was unaware that the very love that had once guided his life was now pulling at the threads of his heart. Ryan's scar was a reminder of battles fought and lost, yet it also symbolized resilience. He had once stood for justice, but had strayed far from that path. Now, as he surveyed his crew, he felt the weight of his choices. "We've got a shipment coming through tonight," he stated, his voice steady. The world was filled with complexities, but deep down, a flicker of the man he once was still lingered. He knew that there were always choices to be made, and it was never too late to seek redemption. Fixing his gaze on Brian, the mayor's son, Ryan saw a reflection of the privilege that often obscured the truth. Brian nodded, oblivious to the deeper currents of justice and morality swirling around them. The night ahead held promises and perils, but in the heart of Willow Creek, love and hope still thrived in unexpected places. As Brian prepared for his father's political endeavors, the choices made that night would not only shape their futures, but could also pave the way for healing and transformation in their community. In the midst of a tense night, Brian turned to Michael Reynolds, the newest member of their crew. Michael, a former Army Ranger, brought in valuable skills from his past, but he struggled with the harsh realities of their current path. "Mike, you'll be our lookout at the North Bridge. Stay sharp tonight, all right?" Michael nodded, his expression revealing the weight of his thoughts. Just that morning, he'd been offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to step away from this life. His hands trembled, a reminder of battles both past and present, but he knew he needed to stay strong. 6 months ago, he joined the Reapers, driven by the desperation of delayed VA benefits and the pain of his injuries. The gang had brought him a sense of belonging, but he began to question if the cost was worth it. But as the night unfolded, doubts swirled in his mind. Suddenly, Ryan's attention shifted, his gaze falling on a small figure across the street. "Isn't that Parker's kid?" he said, as the crew watched Lily Parker, a little girl walking with a large German shepherd by her side. There was something striking about her determination as she carefully navigated the sidewalk, focusing intently on her surroundings. The Dague, loyal and vigilant, stayed close, a protector in the night. "She's all alone, just her and the dog," Dave remarked, his voice tinged with a sense of opportunism. Ryan's demeanor shifted as an idea took root, a risky plan forming in his mind. "This could be our leverage for tonight's operation," he said, his eyes locked on Lily. But Brian felt a stirring of unease. "Kidnapping a child? That's a line we shouldn't cross, Ryan. We need to think this through." In that moment, the collective tension made them reflect on the choices they had made and the lives they were entangled in. It was a pivotal moment, one that could change their paths forever. "Nobody's talking about anything harmful," Ryan reassured, though his eyes showed a deeper concern. "We're here to have a friendly conversation with Parker's daughter, ensuring she feels safe while we sort out the situation. By morning, she'll be back home, and Parker will learn the importance of looking out for what truly matters." He turned to Michael, who looked pale. "Is everything okay, soldier?" Michael held Ryan's gaze, forcing a nod. "Yes," he replied, though memories of the Afghan children he had once shielded flashed vividly in his mind. "All good." "All right," Ryan said with determination as he mounted his motorcycle. "Let's show our support. We'll guide her to safety at the corner ahead. Brian, you'll circle around to ensure she feels secure. Dave, stay close to help the kid if the dog gets anxious." The engines roared to life, filling the air with a powerful sense of purpose. Across the street, Lily felt the vibrations of the motorcycles before she heard them. The unexpected sound sent a ripple of discomfort through her, but she held on tightly to Max's fur, feeling his strength beside her. Motorcycles signaled new faces, loud sounds, and an unpredictable shift, all of which threatened the calm Lily had worked so hard to maintain. Max sensed her unease and pressed against her leg, offering the grounding weight that often helped ease her sensory overload. Yet there was a new intensity in his stance, a readiness that came from years of training. His ears perked forward, attuned to the approaching motorcycles with sharp focus, his body poised for action. The motorcycles formed a protective circle around them, two in front, two behind, with Ryan blocking their path. In an instant, Lily found herself encircled by these determined riders and the roar of their engines, her heart racing. She clutched her grocery bag tightly, her eyes widening as she recognized the familiar emblems on their jackets. Symbols her father had warned her about, yet here they were, ready to help, proving that even in the midst of uncertainty, kindness and courage can shine through. "Well, hello there, little Miss Parker," Ryan said, revving his engine and casually dismounting his bike. "Shopping all by yourself today? That feels a bit unsafe." In an instant, Max positioned himself protectively between Lily and the approaching man. A low growl emanated from his chest. Not merely a warning, but the assertive response of a trained K-9 officer ready to protect. Ryan paused, sensing the power in Max's stance, a feeling that made him reconsider his approach. "Call off your mutt, kid," he said, his friendly demeanor slipping away. "We just want to talk." Lily felt frozen, overwhelmed by the unexpected confrontation. As the world around her began to blur, her senses struggled with the noise and smells. Yet amidst the sensory chaos, one truth stood clear. These men posed a threat. Her father's teachings about safety rushed back to her, perfectly clear in her mind. Channeling her courage, she whispered to Max, "Guard," a command she had heard her father practicing. Instantly, Max's demeanor shifted. He became a fierce protector, ready to defend. The Black Reapers had come expecting a pet, but they were met with a guardian devoted to Lily's safety. What they faced was a moment of truth, a brave K-9 officer entering a protective state, ready to defend. As Dave approached Lily, Max, the loyal German shepherd, stood guard with a steadfast growl, reminding everyone of his purpose. Brian's eyes widened with realization. "That's not just any dog," he said, a mix of awe and respect in his voice. "That's a police K-9. Just 3 years prior, Officer Daniel Reeves had been in the training yard of the Midwestern Canine Academy, clipboard in hand, as he watched Max master complex commands. "This one's special," the head trainer had said, and in that moment, a bond was formed that would change lives. "Best natural aptitude I've seen in 15 years. The morning sun shimmered on Max's sleek coat as he showcased unwavering focus, undeterred by distractions scattered throughout the training course. When the simulation gunfire erupted from hidden speakers, Max stood his ground, moving forward with poise and determination, taking down the padded training assistant with precision. "His drive is extraordinary," the trainer shared with pride, "and he possesses the rare ability to switch from high energy to gentle in an instant. Most dogs struggle with this balance, but Max, he's a true gem." To illustrate this point, the trainer called Max away from the training assistant, and the shepherd obeyed instantly, showcasing his remarkable temperament. As a child-sized dummy was introduced to the training scenario, Max's demeanor shifted beautifully. He became a guardian, positioning himself protectively beside the prop, rather than viewing it as a target. Officer Reeves and Max had earned a legendary status within the regional law enforcement community, achieving 12 successful apprehensions and 15 drug busts in their first year together. Max had an incredible talent for detecting narcotics in even the most cunning hiding spots, tracking suspects through challenging terrains, and neutralizing threats with surgical precision. Their partnership was a remarkable synergy, often described as sharing a single mind. One colleague marveled at how they cleared a building without needing a single command, their bond undeniable. The warehouse raid that would solidify their legacy began as a standard operation, with intelligence suggesting a substantial fentanyl shipment was stored there. However, what the intelligence missed was that the warehouse was fortified by former military contractors armed with automatic weapons and an aggressive mindset. As the tactical team breached the main entrance, they unexpectedly found themselves in a well-prepared ambush. Rookie officer Chris Jensen, fresh out of the academy, found himself frozen in shock as bullets whizzed around him. Without a moment's hesitation, Reeves pushed Jensen to safety, placing himself in harm's way. In that critical moment, Max sprang into action, launching toward the nearest gunman and taking him down, even as Reeves faced injury. The brave shepherd completed his takedown and immediately returned to his fallen handler, standing guard over Reeves's body, undeterred by the chaos around him. Max endured a gunshot wound to his shoulder but remained unwavering, growling fiercely at anyone who dared approach, including the tactical medics who arrived after the threat was neutralized. Max, a once joyful K-9 officer, faced a life-altering challenge after witnessing a traumatic event. The vibrant shepherd who had once executed commands with enthusiasm now struggled to overcome the shadows of his past. Despite his impressive training, Max became unpredictable, culminating in a series of incidents that led to the department considering euthanasia. However, hope emerged when Officer James Parker learned of Max's plight. Believing in the shepherd's potential for redemption, he stepped in to give Max a second chance at life, a testament to the healing power of compassion and understanding. As memories of his past began to fade, Max's instincts kicked in, bringing sharp focus to the danger surrounding Lily. The tension radiating from the men threatened to disrupt the peace, and Max's years of training ignited within him the courage to act. Even though his days of police work seemed behind him, the bond he felt with Lily awakened the protective spirit within. When he spotted the man with the jagged scar making a move that felt all too familiar, Max knew he had to protect her. In a flash, he sprang into action, embodying the very essence of bravery and loyalty that had once made him a beloved K-9 officer. With precision and care, Max clamped his powerful jaws around the forearm of the threatening figure, applying just the right amount of pressure to incapacitate without inflicting lasting harm. The man's cries echoed in the air, a stark reminder of the reality Max had always been prepared for. In that moment, a young man named Brian Taylor stood paralyzed by the unexpected turn of events. He had sought thrill and rebellion, but never imagined facing the raw power of a trained police dog. As Max locked eyes with him, a profound wave of shame washed over Brian. In that intense moment, he began to realize the consequences of his choices and the importance of kindness and responsibility, igniting a spark of hope for transformation. Brian's mind raced as he remembered his father's face. Not the stern look he dreaded, but the heartbreak that would come if he learned his son had threatened a child. "This isn't what I signed up for," he murmured, retreating towards his motorcycle. "We're crossing lines here, Ryan." But Ryan's shout pierced through the chaos. "Shut up and help Dave!" Max remained vigilant, embodying the courage and responsibility that comes with being a protector. Michael Reynolds, a former Army Ranger, felt a storm of conflict within him. He had joined the Black Reapers out of desperation, but he had never wanted to abandon his principles. Memories of his time in Afghanistan flooded back, reminding him of the innocent lives he had vowed to protect. As he watched his new brothers threaten a young girl, something deep within him stirred. Echoes of the orphaned Afghan children he had once safeguarded. "We need to back off," Michael asserted, his military resolve returning as he stepped forward. "This is wrong. She's just a kid." Brian turned, anger twisting his features, but Michael stood firm. "There's nothing soft about having lines you don't cross," he declared, his voice steady and commanding. "This isn't about drugs or territory. This is about a child's safety." Behind Max, Lily trembled but felt a glimmer of hope, sensing that true courage was rising to protect her. Amid the thick fog of anxiety, a flicker of strength emerged within her as she recalled her father's safety lessons. With trembling hands, she grasped the whistle hanging around her neck and blew 3 sharp blasts, the emergency signal her father had taught her for moments like this. The shrill sound jolted the bikers, igniting a spark of hope. In that instant, Dave found the courage to push against Max's hold. Brian, fueled by protective instincts, drew his pistol and confronted Max with fierce determination. "Let him go, or I'll put a bullet in you," he warned, his voice steady. Yet Max remained resolute, trained to protect and maintain control no matter the threat. His focus was unwavering, ensuring safety for Ryan while assessing the new danger. "I said let go!" Ryan's finger tightened on the trigger, but in that moment, something incredible happened. Michael, driven by instinct and years of combat training, stepped in front of Ryan's gun, shielding a defenseless dog. "Put it down, Ryan. If you shoot that dog with Lily watching, we'll face consequences we can't escape." Time seemed to freeze as tension hung in the air, but finally Ryan slowly lowered his weapon. "Fine, we'll do this another way," he sneered, pointing at Lily. "Call off your dive, or things are going to get ugly for your friend." Lily's heart raced. Her father had taught her that Max, her loyal companion, was specially trained. He had once been a police dog, a protector at heart. Yet in that moment, she witnessed a side of Max she had never seen before, a blend of strength and discipline that transformed him from a gentle friend into a fierce guardian. The sight was overwhelming, but she held on to hope. "Max," she whispered, her voice a soft plea. Instantly, Max released his grip on Dave's arm, but stood strong, ready to protect Lily. His gaze shifted between the injured man and the threat that still loomed. Max knew instinctively who posed the greatest danger. Meanwhile, Dave, injured and scared, retreated towards his motorcycle, blood seeping from his wound. "That thing broke my arm," he yelled, shock and pain etched on his face. "I need a hospital, Ryan." "Nobody's going anywhere until we settle this," Ryan shot back, though his bravado was beginning to crumble. The situation had escalated beyond his control. If Parker found out about his threats against Lily, it would shatter his newfound authority in Willow Creek. A voice inside him, reminiscent of his former police training, warned him that threatening a minor would only add to his growing list of troubles. As the confrontation unfolded, Ryan realized he was losing his grip. "This is over, Ryan," he declared, mounting his motorcycle, a newfound clarity washing over him. "I'm out." Without waiting for a response, he kick-started his bike and roared away, leaving behind the chaos and the remnants of his misguided ambitions. Anger surged through Ryan as he muttered, "You'll regret that, rich boy." But his focus quickly shifted back to the present dilemma. With Dave injured and Michael's loyalty faltering, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. This moment was not just a confrontation. It was a turning point filled with the potential for redemption and courage. A moment of clarity washed over Ryan. He knew he had to act decisively. With a burst of energy, he lunged forward, hoping to grab Lily for leverage. "Come here, kid!" But Max was quicker, propelled by a fierce loyalty that defied all odds. He surged between Ryan and Lily, his protective instincts igniting as he snapped at Ryan's outstretched hand, forcing him to retreat. Panic surged in Ryan, and in that split second, Michael's military training kicked in. He sprang into action, tackling Ryan just as the gun slipped from his grasp, sending it skidding across the pavement. "Run, Lily!" Michael shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "Take your dog and go!" But Lily stood frozen, overwhelmed by the chaos unfolding around her. Yet Max sensed her distress and knew what to do. With Ryan temporarily distracted, he returned to Lily, pressing against her leg, using the comforting technique he had learned to break through her sensory paralysis. The warmth of his fur grounded her, and she instinctively reached for him, finding solace in his presence. With newfound strength, Lily took a hesitant step back, her hands clutching Max's collar as he guided her away, maintaining a protective stance between her and the struggle on the ground. Ryan, fueled by rage, had gained the upper hand against Michael, but the sound of approaching sirens pierced through the chaos, a sign of hope. Lily's whistle had drawn attention, or perhaps a passerby had noticed the disturbance. Ryan's anger momentarily faltered as he heard the sirens, and with one last vicious blow to Michael, he scrambled to escape, realizing that help was on the way. As Ryan revved his motorcycle, urgency filled the air. "Dave, we're leaving," he urged, and Dave, despite the pain in his arm, understood the gravity of the moment. They mounted their bikes, engines roaring to life as they prepared to escape. Ryan cast one last glance at Lily and Max, his expression a mix of determination and defiance. "This isn't over, kid. Tell your daddy Ryan Morris says hello." With that, they sped off into the night, fueled by the promise of justice. As Michael lay on the ground, a small trickle of blood from his split lip, he witnessed Lily clutching her loyal dog, Max, tightly as if drawing strength from him. With a pained smile, he managed to speak softly. "You have a wonderful partner there." He winced, touching his ribs gently. "Your dad is the officer who spoke to me today, right?" Lily nodded, her fingers resting in Max's fur. "Tell him." Michael paused, determination rising within him. "I'm ready to accept that offer to get clean now." The sound of sirens grew closer, and a police cruiser sped around the corner, skidding to a halt beside them. Officer James Parker leaped from the car, worry etched on his face as he rushed toward his daughter. "Lily!" he exclaimed, dropping to his knees in front of her. "Are you okay? What happened?" Before she could answer, Max turned to James and barked, signaling that he had successfully protected Lily. In that tense moment, a small smile crept onto James's lips, The training of his faithful partner had truly shown through. "Dad," Lily said, her voice small yet steady as she pointed to Michael. "He helped us. The bad men tried to take me, but Max stopped them, and he told me to run." She paused, focusing hard to relay her message through the whirlwind of emotions. "He wants to take your offer now." Recognition washed over James as he realized this was Michael Reynolds, the veteran he had spoken to earlier. The pieces fell into place. The Black Reapers had targeted his daughter, and this brave man had stepped in to protect her. "An ambulance is on the way," James said, extending his hand to Michael, ready to lift him up from the ground. "I believe we have much to discuss." The Willow Creek Medical Center buzzed with life as James paced the waiting room, his police radio crackling with updates on the hunt for Ryan Morris and the remaining Black Reapers. Nearby, Sarah wrapped her arm protectively around Lily, who sat quietly, her eyes glued to the double doors where doctors were caring for Michael's injuries. Max lay steadfast at Lily's feet, his watchful gaze fixed on the entrance, embodying the spirit of a true protector. "The mayor wants updates every 15 minutes, Chief Thomas Green murmured, joining James at the window. At 58, the lines on Green's face told stories of dedication and resilience, having served in law enforcement for 25 years, with the last decade as Willow Creek's chief of police. A young man stepped into the station, his voice trembling as he confessed to being part of the Black Reapers. He revealed he was there during the attempt to snatch Lily. James gripped the windowsill tightly, feeling a whirlwind of emotions. "Brian Taylor was there," he whispered, concern flooding his heart. "Did he touch my daughter?" "No," Green reassured him gently, placing a calming hand on James's shoulder. He backed out when he realized what was about to unfold. "He's ready to cooperate, giving us vital information. Locations, operations, and names. The mayor is overwhelmed with these developments." James took a deep breath, trying to release the anger that had been brewing since he found Lily shaken and afraid. "What about Morris? We've set up roadblocks across the county and the state police are involved now. He must know his operation is compromised. He's becoming desperate." Lowering his voice, he added, "There's something else I need to share. Morris has been spreading rumors that you betrayed him 3 years ago during the corruption investigation." This has turned personal. The shocking realization hit James like a wave. "This wasn't random," he murmured, understanding dawning in him in. "He specifically targeted Lily because she's my daughter." Just then, the emergency department doors swung open, and a doctor rushed toward James. "Officer Parker, Michael Reynolds is asking for you. He's stable but insists on speaking with you urgently." James followed the doctor through the maze of curtained rooms until he reached Michael, who lay on the bed, battered but alert. The veteran's eyes sparkled with clarity, free from the haze of painkillers. "Parker, Usto," Michael croaked, struggling to sit up despite the pain. "You need to hear this. Morris doesn't just want to intimidate you. He's planning something much larger. The shipment tonight is merely a distraction." James leaned in, curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" "The main objective is to breach the evidence lockup at the police station. Morris has an insider who will help them during the shift change. They're after something significant from the Johansson case last year, something worth millions that was never properly documented." Michael clutched James's wrist with unexpected strength. "Morris knows your access codes. He even boasted about it." A chill ran down James' spine as he remembered the Johansson case, the investigation into local businessmen laundering money through a furniture import business. Among the seized goods were antique tables containing uncut diamonds, a secret smuggling operation that had never been revealed. "When is this happening?" James pressed urgently. "Right at 9 o'clock. Morris is determined to go through with it." Michael's eyes darted anxiously around the room. "He believes the chaos he's causing will keep the department off his trail," he whispered, urgency lacing his voice. "And he mentioned taking something Parker loves before he leaves town." "You mean—" "Lily," James interjected, already on his feet. "I have to get my family to safety." With a heart full of love and determination, he dashed back to the waiting room, his mind racing with plans to protect those who mattered most. As James approached Sarah and Lily, the hospital's overhead lights momentarily flickered out, casting them into darkness. In that fleeting moment, Max stood tall, a low growl rumbling from his chest. When the backup lights flickered on, Ryan Morris loomed in the emergency entrance, a pistol in one hand and a remote detonator in the other, flanked by Dave and two others. "Nobody moves," Ryan commanded, his voice echoing through the tense silence. "Parker, I know you are here. Show yourself or I'll start taking hostages." James stepped forward, his heart racing but steadying his grip on his weapon. "Morris, put that down. The building is surrounded," James declared, his voice firm. Ryan smirked, confidence radiating from him. "No, it isn't. Your team is busy chasing shadows." "But I have something you want," James replied, unwavering. "And I've got something you need," Ryan shot back, gesturing threateningly with the detonator. "This control's set to blow the gas main outside. One press, and this place goes up with everyone in it, including your precious family," Ryan threatened, instilling fear in the hearts of patients and staff. They pressed against walls, fear gripping them, while Sarah instinctively pulled Lily closer, shielding her with love. James weighed his options, knowing that a shot could endanger innocent lives. "What do you want, Ryan?" he called out, keeping his weapon steady on his former partner. "Access to the evidence lockup, the diamonds from the Johansson case." Determined to protect his family, James knew he had to think fast and act wisely, embodying the strength of love in the face of danger. "They're my retirement plan." Ryan's face twisted in a grim smile, but I saw through the facade. "You'll call the station, use your override code to dismiss the officers, then meet me there with the keys and combinations." The tension in the air was thick. "And if I refuse?" I felt a chill as Ryan's gaze shifted to Sarah and Lily. "Then I take your family instead. They'll be my insurance." My heart raced. "Your choice, partner." I fought to keep my expression neutral, but inside a fire of cold fury ignited. In a tense moment, Ryan sneered, "You really think you are walking away from this?" But with unwavering resolve, James replied, "I know I am. You've always been weak." This was a test of character, not just strength. Ryan pointed the gun toward Lily, trying to intimidate, but James knew better. "You're hesitating because you care about others more than the job," he declared. Max, standing still beside Lily, embodied the calm of a trained protector, awaiting the right moment to act. Max, the loyal shepherd, was coiled and alert, ready for anything. Lily, feeling his tension, pressed against her mother, drawing strength from their bond. With a keen eye honed from years of navigating a sensory-rich world, Lily noticed something crucial. Ryan's finger hovered above a button without actually touching it. The device resembled a garage door opener, and a memory of her father's chess lessons flooded her mind. In that moment, she understood Ryan was bluffing. Leaning close to her Aller, she whispered, "The bad man is pretending. His button isn't real." Sarah's eyes widened at Lily's insight, and she quickly assessed the situation. Her medical training kicked in, revealing signs that Ryan was under the influence. "James," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "He's high, probably meth." Her calm demeanor reflected the strength of a mother who would do anything to protect her child. It was a moment of clarity and chaos, revealing the importance of staying grounded when facing danger. Ryan's expression darkened as he turned to Sarah, threatening, "Shut up, one more word, Anne." This distraction was a gift for James. "Max, protect," he commanded with urgency. In an instant, Max sprang into action, a blur of instinct and training. As Ryan turned to confront him, Max was already airborne, a powerful force of loyalty and courage. The impact sent Ryan crashing through the emergency doors, his weapon lost as he tumbled onto the pavement, showing how love and bravery could triumph over fear. Inside, chaos erupted as James and the Reapers sprang into action. "I'm going to release! Everyone down!" James shouted, tackling Dave to prevent further escalation. Outside, Max held Ryan down with unwavering precision, his grip firm yet controlled, a testament to the bond of trust between a dog and his human. Despite Ryan's attempts to break free, Max's determination shone through, proving that when we stand together, even the greatest challenges can be overcome. Max, my loyal companion, was trained to withstand pain and distraction, an unwavering force of protection. "Get this dog off me!" Ryan screamed, blood streaming from his wounds. Meanwhile, hospital security arrived, their presence a beacon of hope. The remaining Reapers, realizing they were outmatched, surrendered. I had just subdued Dave, handcuffing him as I directed Sarah, "Get Lily to a secure room." My heart knew that protecting my family was paramount. I rushed toward the entrance, adrenaline surging through me. Outside, chaos erupted as Ryan, fueled by desperation, grabbed a hidden knife. As I burst through the doors, I saw the blade aimed at Max. "Max, release!" I shouted, drawing my weapon. In an instant, Max obeyed, leaping aside just in time, but not without a cost. The knife grazed Max, leaving a mark that would remind us of this day. Despite the injury, he stood strong, embodying the spirit of resilience. "You're finished," I declared, my weapon steady on Ryan. "Now!" Ryan, wild-eyed and bleeding, sneered. "You won't shoot me, James. You don't have the guts." "Try me," I replied, my voice calm yet firm. "I threatened my family. There's nothing I wouldn't do to protect them." In that moment, we locked eyes, one steadfast in love, the other lost in darkness. Ryan's gaze flickered to Max, who, despite his injury, was ready to defend. Fueled by a sudden rage, Ryan lunged at Max with the knife raised. I fired twice, the shots ringing out like a call for justice. Ryan fell, the knife clattering beside him. As I approached cautiously, I felt a mix of relief and determination. Love had triumphed against the odds today. "Officer needs assistance. Shots fired. Suspect down," I relayed into my radio, my heart racing as I kicked the knife away. I quickly checked Ryan's pulse but found none. My focus shifted to Max, my loyal German shepherd, who held his position despite the injury he was enduring. Blood soaked his hind leg, but he stayed strong, his training shining through. When I knelt beside him, he finally allowed himself a soft whine, acknowledging the pain he'd been bravely keeping at bay. "Good boy," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion as I applied pressure to his wound. "The best boy. We need a veterinarian," I shouted toward the hospital entrance, where staff were cautiously emerging. "Officer down!" In a matter of moments, hospital security had secured the area, and Sarah rushed out with trauma supplies, her expertise shining through. "Move your hand," she instructed, assessing Max's injury with focused determination. "The cut is deep, but it missed the femoral artery. He needs surgery, but he's stable for transport." As if on cue, police sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder as backup arrived. Chief Green's cruiser was the first to screech into the parking lot, and he leaped out, weapon drawn, quickly assessing that the danger had passed. "The station!" I called to Chief Green, still applying pressure to Max's wound. Morris was planning to hit the evidence lockup. He has someone on the inside. Green nodded grimly, already calling in to secure the station and ensure all personnel were accounted for. As more officers arrived to take control of the scene, I felt a small hand on my shoulder. Turning, I found Lily beside me, her face pale yet composed as she gazed down at Max. "He's hurt," she said simply, her voice tight with concern. "Yes, sweetheart, but Mom says he's going to be okay. We need to get him to the animal hospital right away." Lily knelt beside Max, seemingly undeterred by the blood soaking into her jeans as she gently placed her small hand on his head. "You saved us," she whispered to him, her voice filled with determination. "Now we'll save you." The emergency veterinary clinic on the outskirts of Willow Creek stood as a beacon of hope, its stark exterior hiding the sophisticated medical equipment inside. I carried Max through the sliding doors, his blood soaking through the police jacket wrapped around him. Sarah followed closely with Lily, whose small face, though streaked with tears, radiated resilience and hope. Together, we were ready to do everything we could to heal our beloved friend. In a moment of urgency, the clinic staff sprang into action, their hearts united in purpose. A dedicated team of veterinary technicians hurried with a gurney as Dr. Emily Wilson, the lead veterinarian, stepped out of an examination room, ready to save a life. "Gunshot wound?" she asked briskly, her focus sharp as they transferred Max onto the gurney. "Knife wound to the right hindquarter," Sarah responded, her training evident in the calmness of her voice. "It's a deep laceration, significant blood loss, but he's conscious and responsive." Dr. Wilson nodded, applying a pressure bandage and guiding her team with unwavering determination. "Prep him too. I want a full blood panel, IV fluids, and 4 units of canine blood ready," Dr. Wilson instructed. Officer Parker hesitated, his hands resting gently on Max's head. The shepherd looked up at him, trust glowing in his eyes despite the pain. "Will he make it?" James asked, a flicker of worry in his voice. "We'll do everything possible," Dr. Wilson assured him, her professionalism shining through. even as she noted the concern in her heart for Max's fading strength. Immediate surgery is crucial. The blood loss is significant, and we may be facing hidden damage. As Max was wheeled toward the operating room, boss, a small voice broke through the tension. "Wait," Lily called, her voice steady and strong. The staff paused, looking to Dr. Wilson, who nodded in approval. Lily leaned close to Max, her gentle hand resting on his muzzle. "You have to fight," she whispered with fierce determination. "You're the bravest dog in the world, and I need you to come back to me." Max, despite his weakened state, managed a soft lick of her hand, a moment of connection before the team continued their urgent journey. The double doors of the operating room closed behind them, enveloping the Parker family in a heavy silence. "He heard you," James said softly, kneeling beside Lily, his voice a soothing balm. "Max is a fighter. He won't give up." Lily nodded, her expression serious as she processed the situation with her unique insight. "He lost a lot of blood," she said, her words tinged with concern. "The knife cut very deep. I saw muscle tissue." Sarah joined them, placing a steady hand on Lily's shoulder, a silent promise that they would face this together, holding on to hope in the darkest moments. "You're right, sweetheart. It's a serious injury. But Max is in the best hands possible with Dr. Wilson, the most skilled veterinary surgeon in the county." As the clock ticked on in the waiting room, moments felt like hours. Chief Green entered with a wave of relief. The conspiracy at the police station had been exposed. A desk sergeant named Matthews had bravely confessed to his involvement with Ryan Morris. The remaining members of the Black Reapers had been captured, and Brian Taylor was now cooperating with law enforcement. Michael Reynolds was stable and providing valuable information about the gang's operations. "The mayor is handling the situation," Green shared quietly with James, a sense of optimism in his voice. While having his son tangled in this situation was a political challenge, the mayor's heart was in the right place. He was eager to make amends and had offered to cover all of Max's medical expenses as a first step. James nodded thoughtfully, his eyes drawn to Lily, who sat quietly in her chair, her body tense as she worked to manage her sensory responses in the bustling veterinary clinic. The bright lights, antiseptic smells, and sounds of animals created a whirlwind of anxiety for her. "Lily needs to go home," he suggested to Sarah. "This environment is overwhelming for her." Sarah shook her head resolutely. "I've already mentioned it, but she refuses to leave until she knows Max is okay." Hearing her name, Lily looked up with determination. "I'm staying," she declared. "Max wouldn't leave me." After 4 long hours in surgery, Dr. Wilson finally emerged, her scrubs bearing the marks of her hard work, exhaustion etched on her face. The Parker family rose together, a wave of tension rippling through them as they searched for news in her expression. The surgery had been more intricate than expected. As she took off her surgical cap, James felt a sinking sensation in his heart. "But he's alive?" he asked, hope mingling with fear. "Yes," Dr. Wilson confirmed, her voice steady. "He is critical, but we've repaired the arterial damage and transfused 4 units of blood. The muscle damage was severe. Over 100 internal sutures were needed to reattach the tissue. The next 24 hours will be crucial." "Can we see him?" Lily asked, her voice small yet strong. Dr. Wilson hesitated, glancing at Sarah for guidance. "He's heavily sedated and connected to many monitoring devices. It might be distressing." "Please," Lily interjected, surprising everyone with her boldness. "He needs to know we're here." After a moment of contemplation, Dr. Wilson nodded. "Just briefly, he's in recovery now." The recovery ward was softly lit and peaceful, the only sound the rhythmic beeping of the monitors. Max lay on a padded table, his once powerful frame appearing fragile beneath the warming blanket, but the love and support surrounding him were undeniable. A breathing tube gently protruded from Max's mouth, with multiple IV lines nourishing him with fluids, antibiotics, and pain relief. His leg, lovingly bandaged, rested on a supportive cushion. Slowly, Lily approached, her sensory aversion momentarily forgotten as she focused on her brave friend. She placed her small hands softly on his head, careful not to disturb the IV in his foreleg. "I'm here," she whispered, her voice a soothing balm in the quiet room. "You did it, Max. You saved me, and now it's your turn to heal." The rhythmic beeping of the monitoring equipment surrounded them, but Max lay still, the strong K9 officer now a vulnerable patient, valiantly fighting for his life. Dr. Wilson reviewed the monitors, making minor adjustments to the IV flow. His vitals are stable for now, she reassured them softly, but he's still in danger. The next few hours are crucial. What are his chances? James asked, a question that weighed heavily on his heart. Dr. Wilson's demeanor softened with warmth. If he makes it through the night, his chances improve a lot. Max is young and was in excellent health before this happened. But I must be honest, the damage is serious. Even if he recovers, he may not regain full function in that leg. The gravity of her words filled the room. A canine officer who couldn't run or jump would be losing a significant part of who he was. You mean he might be? Lily searched for the right word, her analytical mind processing the news with precision even amidst her emotional turmoil. Disabled, Dr. Wilson said gently. Yes, that's a possibility we need to prepare for. The injury will heal, but the muscle damage might lead to lasting weakness or limited movement. Lily nodded, absorbing this information with her characteristic directness. That's okay, she replied with a brave smile. He doesn't need to chase bad guys anymore. He just needs to be Max. Her acceptance and simplicity brought unexpected tears to James's eyes. He placed his hand alongside Lily's on Max's head, feeling the familiar warmth of the shepherd's fur beneath his fingers. Dr. Wilson is right, Lily said, her knowledge guiding her to prepare for the challenges ahead. Even if Max survives, his recovery will be long and tough. He might not be the same dog you remember. He'll always be Max, Lily replied with unwavering certainty. Just like I'm always Lily, even on days when my brain works differently. As the night unfolded, Max's condition began to shift. His temperature rose sharply, and his blood pressure dipped to concerning levels. Dr. Wilson worked diligently, administering additional medications, her face growing serious as she monitored his responses. Yet even in this difficult moment, there was a sense of hope, a sense that love and determination would guide them through the darkness. He's developing complications, Dr. Wilson explained to James and Sarah, her voice steady but filled with concern as Lily slept fitfully in the waiting room. The extensive tissue damage is causing a systemic inflammatory response. His body is essentially fighting itself. James felt desperation creeping into his voice. What can we do? He asked. We're doing everything medically possible, Dr. Wilson reassured them. The rest is up to Max, and he's a fighter. At 3 a.m., the critical moment arrived. Max's heart rate became erratic, and the monitor displayed alarming readings as his oxygen levels dropped. The veterinary team sprang into action, administering emergency medications while Dr. Wilson performed chest compressions. He's crashing, a technician called out, adjusting the oxygen flow. But amidst the chaos, hope lingered in the air, reminding everyone that courage often shines brightest in the darkest moments. Lily awoke to the commotion, her heart racing even in the wee hours. Without hesitation, she slipped into the treatment area, her wide eyes reflecting both fear and determination as she watched the team work tirelessly to stabilize Max. Don't leave, she whispered, her small hands pressed against the glass partition. Please don't leave us, Max. For 3 agonizing minutes, time seemed to stand still as the team fought for Max's life. Slowly, the erratic beeping of the monitor began to steady, signaling a glimmer of hope as Dr. Wilson wiped the sweat from her brow, feeling the weight of the moment shift. He's back, Dr. Wilson announced with cautious relief, her eyes lighting up with hope. His vitals are stabilizing. Lily remained glued to the observation window, her hands pressed against the glass, pouring her love and hope into Max's recovery. James and Sarah stood beside her, the emotional toll of the night palpable. Is he going to be okay now? Lily asked, her curiosity battling her fears. Dr. Wilson, with a heart full of compassion, approached the family. He's fought his way back from the brink, which is a very good sign. His resilience is remarkable. I believe we've turned a corner, but he's still critical. The next few hours will reveal more, she reassured them. As dawn broke over Willow Creek, casting warm light through the clinic, Chief Green entered with a manila folder, his expression serious but filled with purpose. He requested a private word with James, who followed him into a small consultation room, his heart racing with anticipation. I've been investigating Morris's background more thoroughly, Chief Green began, opening the folder to reveal critical insights. There's something you need to know, James. It goes back much further than we thought. James leaned in, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten as he examined the documents. "What am I looking at?" he asked, ready to uncover the truth that could lead to justice and healing for everyone involved. As I reflected on my time with the county K-9 unit 7 years ago, memories flooded back. I was immersed in the files, my tired mind slowly piecing together the story. Suddenly, I stumbled upon a revelation that took my breath away. Could it be true? Morris was Officer Reeves' first partner, a bond that had once made them the department's shining K-9 team. Unfortunately, a disciplinary review had severed that partnership, leaving behind a fracture that would change everything. Though cleared of wrongdoing, Morris carried the weight of that grudge. When Reeve got Max as his new partner, I realized how the pieces of this complex puzzle began to fit together. Max became a celebrated officer, the department's pride, while Morris was quietly reassigned, his connection to Reeve hidden from view, until I began to unravel the truth. It all clicked when Morris saw Max with Lily today. He recognized not just a dog, but a symbol of rivalry and lost opportunity. It was more than a personal vendetta, it was about healing old wounds. As I sat back, grappling with this truth, I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. The corruption case I thought was the sole motive was just the surface of a much deeper story. But there was more to uncover. My colleague pulled out another document, shifting the gravity of our conversation. Remember the warehouse raid that ended so tragically with Reeves' death? Morris had provided the intelligence for that operation. My heart sank as I realized the implications. Could it be that the intelligence was compromised? The investigation had been inconclusive, but now, with renewed determination, we would revisit it. The weight of our discoveries hung heavily in the air when a knock interrupted us. A younger officer stepped in, his nervous expression signaling urgency. "Chief, we found something at Morris's residence that you and Officer Parker need to see right away." He handed over a weathered leather notebook, Morris's personal journal. As I flipped it through the pages, I stopped at one marked with a red tab. A chill ran through me as I read an entry dated 2 years ago. It spoke of a moment when Max was scheduled for euthanasia after failing rehabilitation. Morris's words echoed with malicious intent. Karma finally caught up with Reeves' wonder dog. In that moment, I understood. This was not just a story of rivalry. It was a narrative woven with pain, healing, and the possibility of redemption. In a twist of fate, the very aggression that once haunted Max's life became the catalyst for his redemption. I remember the moment it became clear that the darkness surrounding him was not his own, but rather a reflection of the struggles imposed by others. With unwavering resolve, I worked with the Rehabilitation Center, determined to ensure that Max's true spirit shone through. James whispered of sabotage, but what he didn't realize was that Max's resilience would outshine any negativity thrown his way. This dog, who had endured so much, truly deserved a second chance at life, especially with the love of his new family. This situation transcended mere conflict. It was a tale of deep-rooted vendettas and the fight for justice. As James and Green sat in contemplation, another knock on the door opened the door to unexpected revelations. Dr. Wilson arrived with a visitor, a man whose presence hinted at a story yearning to be told. "Professor Parker," she said, "there's someone here about Max, and it's urgent." James shared a glance with Green, sensing that this moment could change everything. The man, Mark Stevens, looked up, his face etched with the weight of his experiences. "Professor Parker," he said, extending a hand, "I have something important to share about your dog." My heart raced with anticipation. "How do you know about Max?" I asked. "Because I saved him once," Stevens replied, his voice thick with emotion. He had been there during the chaos, and now he stood before us, ready to shed light on Max's heroism. Green stepped forward, questioning Stevens with the authority of someone seeking truth. "Are you confessing to participation in that incident?" he asked. "No," Stevens asserted with conviction. "I was an undercover DEA agent. When the raid went wrong, I had to make a choice. I couldn't reveal my identity, but I couldn't just watch. I was the one who called for help, and I intervened to protect Max when he defended his fallen handler." His voice quivered with the weight of his actions, a testament to bravery in the face of danger. I struggled to comprehend the revelations unfolding before me. "You were there? You witnessed what happened?" I asked in disbelief. Stevens nodded, the pain of remembrance clear on his face. Morris had betrayed us all, feeding information to the cartel. It was a trap. I couldn't bear the thought of being silent anymore, especially after everything that has happened. That shepherd saved my life too. It was time to honor his bravery. Green's instinct to protect surged as he demanded answers. Why come forward now, he pressed. Because I've seen the news, Stevens replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil. I've been following Morris since leaving the DEA. When I learned Max was involved, I knew I had to speak out. He saved me just as he saved his handler. This shepherd embodies loyalty and courage, and he deserves to be honored, not forgotten. Max could have chosen to attack, yet he sensed I was no threat. In that moment, I realized the depth of his instincts. As the weight of these revelations settled on James, it became clear. Max wasn't just guarding Reeves, he was discerning true danger. The most remarkable K9 I've ever encountered, Stevens noted. In 2 decades undercover, he had worked alongside numerous police dogs, but none possessed Max's extraordinary intuition. With a gentle smile, he pulled out a cherished photograph from his pocket and handed it to James. I captured this from the warehouse security footage before backup arrived. It reminds me that real courage takes many forms. The image was grainy but powerful, showing Max standing vigil over Reeves's injured body, blood staining his fur as he bravely held off the attackers. Just behind a stack of crates, a figure emerged, likely Stevens, grappling with the difficult choice between maintaining his cover and assisting his injured partner. Max didn't falter during his rehabilitation test due to trauma or aggression, Stevens explained softly. He sensed something was off with the evaluators Morris had chosen. Dogs like him can detect deceit and hidden motives. What seemed like aggression was Max's unwavering commitment to his duty, guarding against threats that others could not perceive. In the recovery room, Max stirred slightly, as if he understood the truths unfolding about his past. His eyes fluttered open, hazily focusing on Lily, who had been a pillar of support by his side. The monitoring equipment began to show a positive shift in his vital signs, subtle yet unmistakable. He's responding, Dr. Wilson said, her voice filled with cautious hope as she checked his readings. Sarah called to James, who rushed to the recovery room with Green and Stevens close behind. As they entered, Max's eyes fully opened, recognition lighting up his gaze as he saw James. His tail, though weak, gave a gentle wag, a small but powerful sign of his spirit. He's coming back to us, Lily said with unwavering certainty, tenderly stroking Max's head. He knows we need him. 2 weeks after the showdown with Ryan Morris, Willow Creek began its healing journey back to normalcy. The police department, now under careful scrutiny due to exposed corruption, embraced significant reforms led by Chief Green's dedicated leadership. The Black Reapers had been dismantled, their actions brought to light through Michael Reynolds' courageous testimony, with Brian Taylor's cooperation playing a pivotal role. The mayor, touched by his son's involvement, initiated a community rehabilitation program for at-risk youth and veterans, planting seeds of hope for a brighter future. With the love and support of his family, the Parker home had transformed into a healing sanctuary for Max. A generous local veterans support group had donated a specialized orthopedic bed, placed perfectly to allow the recovering shepherd to gaze out at the world through wide windows. The room was filled with hope as medical supplies, including antibiotics and fresh bandages, stood ready for his daily care. As James returned home after a long shift, he felt the weight of his badge lift, knowing that the truth had finally emerged. The investigation into Ryan Morris's corruption had not only cleared his name, but had also unveiled the depths of betrayal he had endured. The diamonds from the Johansson case were secure and documented, exposing Morris's conspiracy in a remarkable display of justice. "How's our brave patient today?" James asked, kneeling beside Max's bed, his heart full of hope. The German shepherd lifted his head, his tail thumping against the cushioned surface with growing strength each day. Though still regaining his footing, Max's eyes sparkled with the intelligence and spirit of a true hero, watching every movement with the vigilance that once made him an exemplary canine officer. Sarah emerged from the kitchen, joyfully announcing that Max had finished his lunch for the first time, and the call from Dr. Wilson brought more good news. The infection markers are finally normal, and the muscle tissue is regenerating beautifully, Dr. Wilson reported. "That's my boy," James said with a proud smile, gently scratching behind Max's ears, always striving for greatness. Lily sat cross-legged beside Max's bed, immersed in her studies, using flashcards as part of her homeschool curriculum. The school had compassionately adapted her learning to keep her close to Max during his recovery, understanding that their bond was vital for both their healing journeys. Max had become an anchor for Lily, just as she was a source of strength for him. "Dad," Lily chimed in, eyes still focused on her work. "Mr. Stevens is coming at 4 o'clock. He's bringing the special harness." Glancing at his watch, James replied, "That's in just 20 minutes. I should get ready." Mark Stevens, a retired DEA officer, had courageously testified about the warehouse raid, helping to clear Officer Reeves' name while holding Morris accountable. Now Stevens was channeling his expertise into training service and therapy dogs, focusing on rehabilitating brave dogs like Max, giving them a second chance to thrive. When Stevens arrived, he brought with him a specially designed harness crafted for canines recovering from injuries. This incredible piece of equipment was originally developed for military working dogs who faced challenges in combat zones. As he gently fitted it to Max, I could see the trust that had blossomed between them through their regular sessions. Stevens had become a valued visitor in our home, using his expertise to guide Max on the path to recovery. Most importantly, he shared a unique bond with Max, understanding the hardships he faced during the warehouse raid. "Are you ready to stand tall, partner?" Stevens asked, speaking to Max with the same respect he would show a human colleague. With James supporting one side of the harness and Stevens the other, Max took a brave step forward. His injured leg wobbled slightly, but with determination, he managed to stand, balancing on his 3 strong legs while the harness offered essential support to his healing limb. "Fantastic," Stevens encouraged, closely watching Max's posture. "Look at him. He's distributing weight so much better today. His muscles are getting stronger." Lily watched with unwavering attention, her keen analytical mind absorbing every moment of Max's inspiring recovery. "He's bearing 7% more weight on that injured leg than yesterday," she proudly stated, her gift for noticing details shining through. "Exactly right," Stevens beamed back at her. "You've got a sharp eye, Lily." Just then the doorbell rang unexpectedly, causing Max to instinctively shift towards the sound. James quickly steadied him, concerned about pushing him too hard. "Easy, boy, I've got this," he reassured. Sarah opened the door to reveal Chief Green and Michael Reynolds standing on the porch. It was heartwarming to see how much Michael had transformed from the man we first met just weeks ago. Clean-shaven and clear-eyed, he stood tall, embodying the strength of a veteran, even as he slightly favored his left leg, a reminder of his own battles. "Sorry to interrupt," Green said as they stepped inside. Michael wanted to check on Max before heading out. Reynolds approached our beloved shepherd with respect, keeping a mindful distance as he spoke to James, creating a moment of connection that filled the room with warmth. "The VA has approved my transfer to the residential treatment program in Capital City. I'll be starting tomorrow morning." "That's fantastic news," James exclaimed, his heart swelling with pride. Reynolds' brave testimony against the Black Reapers had played a crucial role in dismantling their operation, and his choice to cooperate had led him towards a path of healing rather than punishment. "How long will you be there?" 6 months, Reynolds replied. "It's a comprehensive program for PTSD and substance dependency. Plus, I'll receive vocational training afterward to help me rebuild my life." He paused, excitement glimmering in his eyes. "They've accepted me into the Veteran Service Dog Training Apprenticeship. I'll learn to train dogs like Max to support other veterans." At the sound of his name, Max shifted his gaze toward Reynolds, as if sensing the transformation in the man who once stood with those who threatened his family. After a moment of reflection, the shepherd relaxed, offering a gentle approval for Reynolds' new journey. "He knows you helped us when it mattered most," Lily observed, her voice filled with warmth. Her honesty cut through any lingering tension. Reynolds nodded, a solemn smile forming. "I've made many wrong choices, but that was one right decision." As the sun dipped lower, the Parker home welcomed unexpected guests. Dr. Wilson came to check on Max's surgical site, her smile radiating satisfaction with his healing progress. Brian Taylor made a brief yet significant appearance, taking his first step toward reconciliation under his therapist's guidance. He presented a handcrafted wooden plaque to honor Max's bravery, which James accepted with a gracious smile, embracing this moment of healing. Most heartwarming was the visit from Daniel Reeves's parents, who entered with dignified reverence. Mrs. Reeves knelt beside Max, tears of gratitude glistening in her eyes. "We had to come when we heard," she said, her voice filled with emotion as she gently stroked the shepherd's head. "To think that after all this time, Danny's partner would still be here, protecting people." Mr. Reeves presented James with a cherished leather collar. This was what he wore as a puppy during his training with Danny. "We want him to have it back, a symbol of where he started and how far he's come." As twilight embraced Willow Creek, each visitor departed, leaving the Parker family in serene solitude. Max, worn out from the day's emotional journey, curled up on his special bed. Lily sat beside him, her homework spread across the floor, her hands softly stroking the shepherd's fur as she worked with determination. James and Sarah stood in the kitchen doorway, marveling at the beautiful bond between their daughter and her protector. "Dr. Wilson believes he might regain up to 80% function in that leg," Sarah said quietly, her heart filled with hope. "With the right physical therapy, Max will recover," Sarah reassured James, sensing his lingering worry after the attack. Leaning against her husband, she added, "Even if he doesn't, he'll still be exactly what Lily needs, a beloved family member with 4 legs who brings us joy and love." Later that night, as James drifted into sleep, a gentle sound stirred him awake. Curiously, he rose to check on the commotion in the hallway. A wave of relief washed over him when he saw Lily peacefully curled up on the floor beside Max's bed. Her tiny body rose and fell with each deep breath, while the loyal shepherd lay awake, his watchful gaze meeting James's in the dim light. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them, 2 protectors united in their sacred duty. Instead of waking Lily, James gently covered her with a blanket from her room. Max responded with a soft wag of his tail, his eyes whispering promises of unwavering vigilance. "I will always watch over her." As he returned to bed, James reflected on the unexpected journey that had brought Max into their lives, transforming their family in ways they had never imagined. What began as an act of kindness, rescuing a troubled dog from a tragic fate, had ultimately saved them all in ways they couldn't foresee. In the serene darkness of their home, healing after the storms of violence and loss, James Parker discovered a profound truth. Sometimes the greatest courage comes in the form of a furry companion, offering protection and loyalty without conditions. In that quiet moment between Lily and Max, a bond was forged that no adversity could break and no sorrow could diminish. Their story is a powerful reminder that love and trust can transcend even the deepest wounds. As we navigate through life, we cherish moments that reveal the truest essence of our existence. The tale of Max and Lily teaches us that courage often stands beside us, embodied in the loyal gaze of a 4-legged guardian ready to shield us from harm. Like Max, many of us carry invisible wounds from battles fought long ago, yet we find purpose in protecting what truly matters. The bond between this child and her shepherd reminds us of the connections that sustain us through life's darkest hours, connections that transcend words, revealing their depth and power. As we reflect on our own journeys, we see that true heroism often shines not through perfect strength, but in the unwavering commitment to stand guard despite our scars and limitations.